of my audience. There are so many delegates, so addressing them. I am starting my paper. First, I would like to read out my paper, and after that, I will show you some slides. This cult of Augusta in India with special reference to Lakhisarai image. So, from Lakhisarai, one sculpture of Augusta has been found. In this regard, I would like to discuss in front of you about the Augusta cult was very much present in India, Nepal, Southeast Asia, and even in Bengal. So, this is the gist of my paper. So, Augusta in Indian culture. In Indian culture, Augusta is both a mythical character and a historical or semi-historical personage who traveled to the south from the north to introduce Brahmanical culture in peninsular India and never returned. It is he who Aryanized South India and several parts of Southeast Asia. He is also believed to have introduced the worship of Shiva in South India and Southeast Asia, whereas the preacher of the Shiva cult, he is known and worshipped as Shiva Guru, that is, Guru of the Shiva cult. The earliest reference to the same Augusta appears in the Rig Veda and the Atharva Veda. 7 sages called Saptarishis. Seven sages called Saptarishis are extolled at several places in the Vedic Samhitas, but the names of the 7 rishis are not mentioned. In later Vedic texts such as the Brahmanas and Upanishads, the Saptarishis are mentioned by name. The names and numbers of the rishis are not fixed in these later Vedic texts. The earliest list of the Saptarishis appears in Jaimini Brahmana, Augusta, Atri, Bharadwaja, Gautama, Jamadagni, Vasishta, and Vishwamitra. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, however, offers a different list. Gautama, Bharadwaja, Vishwamitra, Jamadagni, Vasishta, Kashyapa, Atri, and Bhrigu. The name of Augusta is conspicuously absent in the Brihadaranyaka list of 8 sages. Now I will talk about the birth of Augusta. According to legends, Augusta was miraculously born during the performance of a yagga by the gods Mitra and Varuna. The gods were so overwhelmed by the beauty of the celestial Apsara Urvashi present at the yagga that they ejaculated. Mitra's semen fell into a mud pitcher, which became the womb in which the fetus of Augusta grew. Augusta is thus also known as Maitra Varuni and Urvashio. As he was born from a jar, Augusta is also known by such names as Kumbhayani, Kalashaja, Kalashi Shuta, Ghatodbhava, etc. These are all the names of Augusta. Augusta in Indian art. In Indian art, Agastya is worshipped mainly in the form of Agastya Muni or Siddha Agastya, as he is called in the south. Though the iconography of Agastya has changed over time, he is generally depicted as a short-statured, elderly personality. He has a heavy stick or umbrella in his hand and wears a dhoti. He has chappals on his feet, rings in his ears, and a light beard on his face. He has a broad forehead and wears a mustache, and his long and curly hair descends up to the shoulders. There is also an axe or dagger-like object at his waist. Augusta images can be seen in both standing and seated postures. He has long flowing beards, thin hair, jaggapavita, 3 asterisks across the forehead, stick or umbrella in his hand or on his lap. In his seated images, he is usually seen either in Yagasana or Maharaja Lilasana or Bama Lalitasana posture. So these are the mentions, epics and Atharvaveda and other places. Now this is the semi-historical and historical appearance of Augusta. Now these are the Augusta in South India. In the Mahakuta temple complex, there is a Mahakuta in Karnataka. There is a seated figure of Agastya in bas-relief. The figure is seen outside a temple in the complex. It was probably kept in a niche, a temple previously. In this image, there is an Akshasutra in the right hand and a mendicant's begging bowl in the left. The Agastya images of the early Chalukyan period have mustaches. Late Chalukyan period images have long beards and the figures are plump and obese. Agastya images are always invariably dwarfish. In the post-Chalukyan period, all the Agastya images have long beards, are obese, and hold a kamandulu-like vessel and akshamala in the hands. Yes, here it is. These are the kamandulu-like vessel and akshamala. Here it is. An axe or dagger-like weapon can also be seen at the waist. It seems that they were used for animal sacrifice. Brahmins, the Manu Sanghita says, often took up weapons for making sacrificial offerings during yajnas. It specially cites Agastya as an example. All the Agastya images are different, not the same like Agastya worship in Southeast Asia. The worship of Agastya was an established cult in Java long before the 7th century, and it must have come from South India. The matted locks, corpulent waist, akshamala, kamandulu, etc. in the Shiva Guru images of Java show their close affinity with South Indian images. More than a score of such images have been found in Java. Two stone images of Shiva Guru deserve special mention because of their fine execution. One is from the inner chambers of a temple in the Lorojangrang temple complex at Prambanam, and the other is from Chandivanan Megaling. In the Prambanam image, the sage stands with half-open eyes. With one hand, he holds the akshamala near his breast, and in the other, he holds a kamandulu. Across the breast runs the Jaggopavito and garland or rudraksha. The crown or matted locks is disposed in the form of karanda mukuto, so similar in South Indian sculptures. So, this is the Mahakuto image, seated. With the kotibandho and urumalai and the ends of the dhoti arranged in rhythmic folds, the dress follows all the features of South Indian images. The Kandobenan Shiva Guru image preserved in the National Museum of Jakarta Java, that is in Java, also faithfully follows all the standard features of the South Indian Agastya images. Let us see some images. These are the Parvati temples from Karnataka. It's a baldy head and mustache you can see here. And Dando is with him. It is identified as Agastya by several scholars. That's why and this is the South Indian Cholo period Agastya temple. Here is also the Akshasutra and the Kamandulu is very much, and he is seated in Lalitasana. There is also evidence of the existence of Agastya worship in Cambodia. An inscription in the temple complex at Angkor Wat in Cambodia reads, "The Brahman Agastya, born in the land of the Aryans, devoted to the worship of Shiva, having come by his psychic powers in the land of the Cambodians for the purpose of worshipping the Shiva lingam known as Sri Bhadreshwar, and having worshipped the god for a long time, attained beatitude." Another inscription dated 811 Shako era in the Siong Prey mountain gives more information about the Agastya's Cambodian connection. The Brahmin, famous as Agastya, versed in the Vedas and who came from the land of the Aryans, married Jashamati of the Mahisuddha family and begot a son who came to be known as Narendra Verma. It is quoted from the O.C. Ganguly's writing. If the legends referred to in the inscriptions are to be believed, then the magnificent Shiva temples of Cambodia could very well have been inspired by Agastya, observed by O.C. Ganguly. Now I will talk about some Agastya sculptures found in Nepal region. Before that, you see the South Indian. Here it is written that Agastya is written here. All this are these pot-bellied and Jata Mukuta and Akshasutra is in his hand. So iconographically I have discussed all these images, and this is also from Tamil Nadu. And this is from Nataraja Temple of Chidambaram. This is the Tenakashi and Nallur in the South India. And this is here also you can see that Augusta is here. And coming to in front of the Ganesha. And it is the Chennai Tamil Nadu region. So also I will show you also Southeast Asian sculptures. This is the found from Java. It is in the Jakarta Museum, and it is in the Indonesian, another sculpture. All are the same features with this. Here you can see that trident is there in the South Indian Augusta culture, not it is in the South Indian or Nepalese sculptures. And it is also in the from Central Java, now it is in the Victoria and Albert Museum. And it is in the South Indian, Indonesian countries. Central Java figure is looks like, but in everywhere you can see the pot-bellied and bearded, Akshasutra and Kamandulu. These all the features are there. And this is in the another temple of Indonesian temple comes. Here you can see the trident is with him. And another figure is more or less there looks like. This is also, I have not discussed all the images in my presentation, but I can show you by slides. And this is from Central Java. And it is in the seated in the Vajrasana, and it is in the bronze image. Another is a stone image that is also from South India. And from Java you can see is a 9th century Chandi Singasari. Another, so many sculptures we can find from the South India and also from Southeast Asia. Java and Cambodia. Now I will talk about Eastern India. Before that, I will talk from images found from Nepal. Many images and inscriptions found in Nepal testify to the popularity of the Agastya cult in this region. According to historical records, King Jayakshamalla of 15th century entrusted the functions of the Pashupatinath temple to South Indian Brahmins. From this, Bolan conjectures that Agastya worship may have been introduced in Nepal by priests from South India. Among the many images of Agastya found from Nepal, one late 15th century bronze image that is previously identified as Jogodakshina Murti Shiva in different writings. A 15th century bronze image is of particular iconographic interest. The entire piece is a little more than 4 inches tall, and the sage alone is 3.5 inches tall. Here the sage is four-armed and seated with crossed ankles. Now this is, I will come to this in the later on. First I will show you about the Nepal. Forgotten to bring the images of Nepal, very sorry. There is no image of. Okay, so I just read out. The entire piece is a little more than 4 inches tall, and the sage alone is 3.5 inches tall. Here the sage is four-armed and seated in crossed ankles, his knees elevated and supported by a yogapatra. Interestingly, unlike in the other images, the sage's face is youthful here. In the Nepal, we can see the youth Agastya. Here the sage is four-armed and seated in crossed ankles, youthful face. He has a short pointed beard, and the forehead bears a vertical third eye. The hair is pulled up on top of the head and tied in 8 loops. The pierced earlobes are stretched but without earrings. Lines of the eyes and brow are incised. He wears a necklace, wristbands, armbands, and the Jaggapavita over his left shoulder. In his upper right hand, he holds a Nakshamala. In his upper left hand, he holds a miniature Dando. The lower right hand makes a teaching gesture, and the lower left hand holds the Kamandilu, while the left arm rests on his knee. This particular representation seems to have been quite popular in Nepal, though not in India, observes Bolan. Another interesting Nepali specimen is the depiction of Augusta on a painted cloth, that is Pauva. An inscription below the Pauva dates it to 1460 CE. As in the bronze image, the sage is depicted as youthful hair and has a pointed beard and the same hair arrangement. His legs are crossed in Utkutikasana. Here too he holds the rosary in his upper right hand and makes the teaching gesture with the lower right hand. The upper left hand holds a small trident instead of a dando, and the abraded lower left hand hands the commandulo. This main figure in the painting was also first thought to be Jogadakshina Murti Shiva, but has since been identified as Agastya by Pratapaditya Pal, the great art historian. Now I would like to discuss about the Augusta figure found in Bihar, particularly in Lakhisarai region. This is found from Lakhisarai. As in the north and south of India, the worship of Augusta in eastern India has a very antiquity. A 12th century stone image of Augusta found from Lakhisarai village in Bihar is presently housed in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, California, USA. This is a solitary example of an Augusta image found from Bihar region, so far my knowledge is concerned. This Eastern Indian two-armed standing image in Tribhanga posture is accompanied by two Chamuradharinis on either side of the main deity. The two attendant deities, and this is Akshasutra and like an commander-like object, but it is not very clear from this figure. Augusta, all the three features are standing on three separate Vishwapadhyas on a Saptaratha pedestal. Augusta is seen holding a kamandulo in his left hand and an Akshasutra on his right palm. He is ornamented with Jatamukuto, Kanthaharo, Bajibandhas, Kankanas, Kotibandhanis and Nupuras. These are all ornaments worn by Augusta. Besides these ornaments, he is bedecked with a short upabito across his breast and a long jogapatto that goes around his knees. The sage has a curled moustache and a long beard and is clad in a parallel lined dhoti, a stylistic feature characteristic of the 11th-12th century Palashino art. He has a broad forehead and wears a long tilako on it. All of the Augusta sculptures found from various places in India and abroad, this well-wrought image is the finest one. Now I will talk about the Augusta found from Bengal region. In a monograph published in the Census of India 1961, mention is made of the worship of Augusta among the conch traders, that is Shankhabonics of Bengal. His worship is prevalent in Bengal even today, though most people of the region are unaware of this. One reason for this could be that Augusta worship is limited only to the conch trading community of Bengal, and that too on one specific day of the year, the last day, that is the Sankranti of the Bengali month of Bhadra, that is August. On this day, along with the worship of the serpent goddess Manasha, conch traders of worship Augusta Muni also. Augusta is worshipped both in the anthropomorphic form and in the symbolic form of a jar, that is Ghata Puja, because of his birth from a jar, that is Kalashajo, Kalasishuto, Ghatadbhavo, etc. are some of Augusta's other names. He is, however, not worshipped in both the forms by the worshippers simultaneously. Conch traders live in different parts of West Bengal. At present, they are most concentrated in Barakpur in North 24 Parganas district, Shankhanagar in Nadia district, and in several villages in Bankura district of West Bengal. These traders traditionally procured their raw materials from South India and Sri Lanka. The connection of Bengal conch traders with peninsular India is indeed significant. The practice of Augusta worship among the Shankhabonics of Bengal could be a result of this trade contact. I have visited, let us see some sculptures, after that I will discuss. This is from Bankura region, and this is the worship of Augusta still existing, and this is made of mud. They are preparing the model of Augusta. Augusta. And here you can see, it is the typical of Bengal feature, 2 mokoros are there. This is, we cannot find it in any other places. And this is a community worship, and few years back in 2012, it's a community worship. Here is also Mokoro, it is full-fledged form, and Jota, Moses, but he is in the seated image in Bengal. And it is the tutelary deity, as if they are worshipping. It is one of the family of the Shankhamani. They are worshipping in the middle of their Singhasan in the puja hall, that Agastya Muni. And this is the symbolic representation, that is the conch. So in this family they kept it like that, but they do not worship conch. Usually they keep it in the as auspices thing. So it is in the close-up view in detail. This is their puja hall. And this is in the Barakpur region of their, at present now I will talk about that. I have visited many various villages of Bankura district several times to study the conch shell art of the region. During these visits, I developed a wide circle of friends and acquaintances among the conch trading community of the region. I learned from them that every year of Bhadra Sankranti they worship Agastya Muni. On this occasion, they do not touch any tools of the craft for 3 days. Even the conch bangles, that is shankha in Bengali, which they produce in the workshops are not sold during this period. On inquiry, they explained the reason behind this practice. The most important tool of conch shell artisans is the saw. According to a legend, Vishwakarma, the patron deity of artisans, once wanted to make all the tools used by conch shell artisans. Although he successfully made all the other tools, he failed to make the saw. Agastya then stepped in to help him. Taking a kusha grass, Agastya first prepared the design of the saw, and then using the design, he successfully made an actual saw. The saw is an indispensable tool in manufacturing conch shell products. Initially, each conch shell has to be cut into pieces. Therefore, every artisan must know how to use a saw. The legend of Vishwakarma's failure and Agastya's success in making a saw not only underlines the importance of the tool, but also explains why Agastya rather than Vishwakarma is the patron god of the Shankhabonics. They call him Muniraja. Interestingly, artisans who work under the traditional conch shell traders use a wide range of modern instruments, and as they do not strictly belong to the Shankhaboni community, they worship Vishwakarma instead of Agastya. I have visited in few houses of in Barakpur. They are in the days of Vishwakarma. They are worshipping the Vishwakarma but in the factory they use instead of saw, they use these modern instruments, but they keep the shankho in the other places. This is the saw, but this is a traditional method. They are not using this for that. But those who are shankho traders, they worship the Agastya, and who is the workers of this industry. They are worship usually or the businessmen, they are worship the Vishwakarma. This is the major difference between the Shankhabonics and Vishwakarma. Worship of Agastya in idol form rather than in the symbolic ghata form on the last 3 days of the Bengali month of Bhadra is very common among the Shankhabonics of Bankura. He is also worshipped as a Griha Devata, household deity in many households. The last time I went to Bankura was a few days before Bhadra Sankranti. Preparations were underway for a community puja that I have shown you. Sarvajanin Puja of Agastya in a village. A large pandal was being constructed for the purpose, and idol makers in the nearby Potters locality, that is Kumar, were busy giving final touches to the clay images of Agastya that I have shown you. Now I will talk about my concluding portion. So you can see that all the South India, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, everywhere Agastya temple is there. But in Bengal or Nepal region, we cannot see or not even in the Bihar. I'm talking about the Lakhisarai image that kept in the museum. So no temple is there, but they worship in their own way. The cult of Augusto and his worship have been quite popular in South India and several countries of Southeast Asia for a long time. Starting from Nasik in Maharashtra, Mahakuta in Karnataka, and Pothiel in the extreme south of the Indian peninsula, Augusto's southward journey extended up to the countries like Java, Sumatra, Siam, and Cambodia in Southeast Asia. The trade contact of the Shankhavonics of Bengal with peninsular India in ancient times and the influx of priests from South India into Nepal in the 15th century must have been instrumental in the spread of Augusta worship in these parts of the Indian subcontinent. The worship of Augusta in South India and Southeast Asia has been well documented by numerous scholars. Carol Radcliffe Bolan has also ably documented the cult of Augusta in Nepal. I'm sorry that I'm not able to bring the sculptures of Nepal. The worship of Augusto in Bengal, however, has not received much scholarly attention so far. Further research in this area could shed more light on ancient Bengal's cultural ties with peninsular India and open up new vistas. I would like to say regarding the especially my title was the Lakhisarai image, and the Lakhisarai image is the only stylistically made of the 11th 12th century Paloshan period. But till now the same type of sculpture we cannot find from any other places. So this is the very important sculpture in the case of Augusto, or even the stylistically Paloshan period art. So these are the short bibliography so many scholars have done on these topics. And I must acknowledge Professor Peter Skilling and Kunthia of Cambodia and other Shankhavonic families. I went several times to their places, and Chennai, New Delhi, everywhere. Thank you once again for your patience.